Can you tell what room I'm in?
Yeah, I can. You're in the office. You're in my room.
It's my office now. So.
He's in my room. That's the funny thing about it. So you have the 3 rooms, the 3 spare rooms, the office, and then you have the other bedroom, and then you have the back bedroom, and you gave the other one to Blue.
Well, this was easier to do. This is easier to do than because we already had the office ready set up. So it was already set up.
You had the office set up like immediately.
After you left?
Yeah.
Well, Tammy wanted to paint it, and this was supposed to be her private space. So now with the pandemic, with coronavirus and everything else, with us both working from home, she's working in the basement. So I was working in the kitchen for a while, right? Remember, for a couple months, and I said, "Well, let me move to the office because it's like the number one to share." It was just a little bit. I was only using a small monitor along my laptop. Now I got huge monitors in my laptop, so I'm good. So, and I got I put the TV, mount the TV. Got TV in here. It's nice. So, yeah, futon too. So.
Yeah, you're all set. You don't even have to leave the room ever.
Right.
What's up, everybody? My name is Sam, and this is the internet where things happen. And today I'm going to be doing a little talking, doing a little interviewing, question asking, schmoozing with my guest today. But it's not just any guest. It's a very important guest. This is a man whose name is Tim Wright, but I know him as my dad. Dad, hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm really good, man. We did. I published a podcast that we did 4 years ago on my channel, just kind of like with some pictures and stuff attached to it. We did we did something like this 4 years ago, and back then neither of us knew what we were doing. I kind of know what I'm doing more now.
I still don't know what I'm doing.
Well, that's good because all you have to do is talk. Basically, I do the rest of it, and that's basically how it goes. So yeah, I just wanted to just take a little bit and talk with my dad. I've been wanting to have my dad on the channel for a while and do the thing, and I thought, what better way to have him on than to do another one of those little interviews, except this time there's video. And the world's changed a lot in 4 years, huh? This was because it was in the 4 years it's been. So we're just gonna go right into it. I don't know. I bumble through most things on this channel. Why not this too? I wanted to start by asking you questions about the most important thing in your life, and that's me. What was kind of going through your head when you found out that I was coming? Like, what was your initial reactions, and how did you proceed, and how did you prepare yourself for my arrival?
Well, initially, I was like, well, are you sure? Okay. Because mind you, when you were conceived, I was not married to your mom. So that was one thing. So as I think about the question, I really wasn't nervous at that point. I think that at that point, I was 25 when you were born. So, I'd been in the military for almost 4 years, about 4 years at that point and whatnot. So, and I joined at 21. So I think I was a little bit more prepared. I wasn't scared at all. I was living in the dorms as an airman at that point. when I was in the Air Force. But I wasn't scared. I really wasn't. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how to explain it. I think just growing up and coming in the Air Force later and having time before that to get all my, childish things out of the way, I think that sort of prepared me for, more for adulthood than anything. But what was going through my head at the time was, I wasn't scared, but, the next question that came was, I guess, I'm doing the right thing at that point. So that's how we wound up married. So I don't know how to explain it.
Because I think you'll find a lot of younger parents, and you were both pretty young, have some different struggles than say some people that are a little bit older who are who have prepared themselves for it.
Right.
So but you're saying that you didn't really feel that extra. Did you feel extra pressure or anxiety?
I wouldn't say there was extra pressure. I wouldn't say there was extra pressure. Well, being single, being in the military, being in the dorms and everything else, my biggest thing was, okay, now I got to figure out how am I going to, where's this extra money going to come from, because, at this point, because I was just living for myself at that point. So now going from that to supporting a wife and a child, that was the biggest thing, So, going through it and everything else, being in the military, being in the Air Force, that was the one blessing, heck, it was free. It was free to have you. I think we only had to pay for your mom's food that she ate in the hospital, at that point, because, you were born in an Air Force base. So, that, as far as medical and everything else, that's something we never had to worry about. So,
it's kind of different.
It was different, I think of course, if I hadn't been in the military, of course, that would have been a whole different story. Okay, so that's one of the many blessings of being in the military was having medical care and everything else and the things that come along with being able to take care of my family better. Okay, and the Air Force did a good job in ensuring that we had the means available to take care of our families. So I did nothing too difficult at that point.
When I was born, you wanted to name me Joseph, right? Joseph Nathaniel was the name you wanted to give me. Where did you get that from?
Pretty much out of the Bible. So of course, let me go with your middle name first. It's Nathaniel. What I wanted to name you, I wanted you named, and we had agreed. Me and your mom had agreed on that. With both the first and middle names before you're born. Okay, but Nathaniel is a gift from God. Okay, so that was my meaning. That was the meaning behind that, and why I wanted your name Nathaniel. Now Joseph, if you go and read the story, the story in Genesis, and how he was the 11th son, of Jacob, and he was put in slavery, sold in slavery and whatnot, but. The one thing about, if you could sit here and go through things that Joseph went through and still come out on the end of it, he went through that and he was still strong from it. He didn't, resent anyone for it. So, it was more of strength with me as to why I want you named Joseph. And I thought Joseph Nathaniel was a cool name. So.
All right. So then why on this day, the 7th day of September 2020, am I having this discussion with you named Samuel James?
So after being at the hospital, when you were born, I got to cut your cord, so that was nice, So after all the time being at the hospital, I think, I was told you can go home for a rest and whatnot, and come back. So I go home, I get some rest, I get changed, showered, and whatnot. Bring back some stuff for your mom, and by the way, he's going to be named Samuel James. What? Okay, where'd that come from? So
that was
something, I guess. What's that?
Did she ever explain like that to you?
Looking back at it, I don't know, because your grandma was involved in it. So,
okay.
Yeah, so I don't know if it was. I can't remember if it was really explained to me. And at the point, I wasn't about to argue at that point. I just sort of like, okay, I'll go with it. So here you are, Samuel James. So, you might want to ask your nana that one.
Oh, yeah. I might have a little bit of extra trouble trying to set this up with her, so maybe I'll just keep that off of the channel.
So I don't know. That's my story. That's how I remember. I don't remember. There was, it was a haze at that point. I think at that point,
going on.
Yeah, because I've been up at that point. Because when I went home to get changed and get rest and everything, I don't recall sleeping that much, because I was still excited. So after all was said and done, because it started out, I think we were out on a Friday night, and we were at the club on base, and that's where the water broke, and we got her over to the hospital. And thank goodness it was just right across the street from hospital is right across the on base.
Well, Luke at the time, was very much like a lot more condensed than it is now.
yeah, exactly. So it was still across the street from the main base, though. So, but yeah, so that whole weekend went from a Friday. I think it was Friday night, Saturday, and then next thing I know, it's like you were born on this. I can't remember which day of the weekend it was, but it was a weekend day. It may have been Saturday or Sunday. I don't remember.
We'll look back. It'll be very easy to figure it out, given my birthday is a set day every year.
Yes. Just Google it.
Just Google it. So what was the most surprising thing about being a new father, do you think? Like, what? Because I imagine, like, you talk to Grandpa a lot, and probably like Uncle Kevin and the other dads that had already come before you in the family. But what about being a new father just were you not prepared for?
Well, I wasn't prepared for. I think the being up different hours of night, and then have to turn around and go to work, and everything else, and, so. I mean, that was the biggest thing I wasn't prepared for, but that's. But that was because I lost a lot of sleep during that time, So.
I'm sorry.
But I think but at the same time, I think going back to being prepared for it and everything else. Nobody's ever prepared, okay. Sure. But, unless they went through it more than once or twice or three times. So I was just one and done. So, but as far as...
Didn't really have to make it anymore. I was the blueprint, and then...
there you go. Yeah, okay. So
were you about to say, if you say so? You were. He was.
Okay. No.
Anyway. Wow.
Okay. What? Anyway. So, but you were the blueprint. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know. Wink. You don't have to say.
So I think being the age I was, because there were people around me that were having kids right out of basic training, but see, when I was when I was in basic training, I was 21 when I went in the Air Force. So if I'm dealing with 17, 18 and 19-year-olds, most of them were, so I was the older person, one of the older people in my flight, going through basic training. So I think looking at these people and how they behaved and looking at how I was, I think that prepared me for, I'm the adult in the room, so I guess I better act like it. So
just kind of had like an immediate sense of duty.
Yeah, exactly. Because to this day when I'm the one that people ask, take advice from or ask me how things go, so.
Yeah. Well, I remember it being like that too when we were other places, like especially in England where I knew more of the people that you worked with, like you were always that person for them as well. So
yeah.
So there was a time when I was living with Nana and Papa that you were stationed in Arizona, and we had like this really fun like weekend ritual that we would do every weekend.
Right.
And it was like I still fondly remember it because it was like us video games, as you know, are a pretty big hobby of mine, and I feel like this ritual is kind of what established like that love, right? Because what do we do? You would pick me up, right? And then we would go to the shopette.
Right.
And I would get my gum. I would either get my bubble gum or my ouch, the Band-Aid bubble gum.
Right.
Was there anything else? Like I feel like Shasta cream soda was a pretty big component as well.
Yeah, it may have been. That may have been. Yeah, Shasta was. Yeah. So that was something I always had on hand. So.
And then we'd order Pizza Hut.
Yeah, we ordered Pizza Hut. Yeah.
And then we'd watch the TGIF block. I specifically remember Boy Meets World was a big one.
Right.
At the time.
Yeah.
And then we would play games. We had this demo disc that we would play like a bunch of games off of, and I remember that's when we would play Metal Gear Solid. I remember Herc's Adventure.
Herc, yeah.
The skill I'm gonna cut your gizzards out.
Yes.
That one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was always fun. And then what would we do on Saturday? That was our Friday, and Saturday would be kind of like a.
We go out and do some things, but we just go out and do things, and we went. We go up to White Tanks, or we go, just going around with my friends or whatnot, and just enjoying the weekend.
Yeah. Go. And then Sunday we'd go to church, and I would never go to the Sunday school because I never wanted to go away from you.
Right.
And then we go to the club and get breakfast, right?
Yeah, we get brunch. Yep, we get brunch and watch football.
Yeah. And I feel like that might have been where I developed a love for football too. So that's cool. Thanks, Dad.
That was the good thing about being out there during football season was that you go to church and you get like I said, football games starting at 10:30. 10:30 out there or whatnot. 10:30, 11 o'clock out there. So you go to church and we'd start watching football. So then they got the second game on because I was a Browns fan. So I tried to watch it whenever I could. I couldn't see the Browns as much out there. So I try to watch them wherever I could or however I could, and then we'd have the rest of the day just to finish up the rest of the day, and then and that would be the end of the weekend. So yeah,
I do want to ask you to defend yourself as far as the Browns go.
What do you mean?
I'm just joking. You know what I mean.
Oh, I don't have to defend anything about the Browns. Ohio through and through.
I was just gonna say, was it just because? So why was it the Browns instead of the Bengals at the time?
Well, we're from Lima, Ohio, and Lima, Ohio was northwest. Cleveland was northeast. So you got southwest was Cincinnati. And I think it was a little bit less time to get to Cleveland from Lima than it was to get to Cincinnati from Lima. So,
So just like a northern Ohio thing.
Yeah. So, but that was, but the Browns were they were the first team to be shown on TV. You got the Browns and the Bengals, but it was usually the Browns being shown up there on TV in Lima, not the Bengals. So, so that's pretty much most of the people around there were Browns fans. If they were Steelers fans, they were dropped on their head. So.
I was gonna say, so inexplicably, 2 of your brothers are Steelers fans,
3.
and then three.
Yeah,
that's right, 3 of them, and then inexplicably, Uncle Kevin was a Cowboys fan.
Yeah, I don't know about that. No, I don't to this day, I never understood it.
It doesn't make any sense because there's always been like team rivalries within the family because it's an Ohio State Michigan split too, which also doesn't make sense to me.
But the ironic thing about that was him being a Cowboys fan was when he passed. When he passed that night, the Cowboys were playing.
Oh wow!
Yes, and I remember that because. After I found out he had passed, the game was on TV anyway. But when I found out he had passed, I went up to Lima, picked up my sister, went up to Lima to see him, and before they took his body away. But we were there, a bunch of people, family was there. The kids. My brothers, whichever brothers were able to be there, and we all got back. We all made it back, as many of us, except for I think your Uncle Johnny. But anyway, that was the Cowboys. Who were they playing? I can't remember who they were playing, but yeah, they were on TV playing that night. So that was he was meant to go that day, I guess.
I guess. Wow. Yeah. When you got custody of me, I remember it was springtime. I was on spring vacation when I went to go live with you, and what I remember, and I could be wrong, was that I went to visit for spring break, and then I just wound up staying. And whenever you tell the story, like you'll say, like sometimes on my birthday you'll post like a post about me and stuff like that. And one of the things that you mention sometimes is that you did something when you got custody of me that could have landed you in jail.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
And we've never talked about that. And I was wondering if we can.
Okay. I'll try to give you the abridged version. So
sure.
So at that point, I didn't know. It was before I went to pick you up. I found out that your mom had twins. No.
No, that was Isaiah.
No, that was your other brother. Okay, so I found out she had another son, and I had no idea. Okay, and I was in Ohio, and I was remarried at that time, right? But I was in Ohio, and I didn't know about this, and I didn't know that you were living with your grandmother at the time, and I was still paying child support. Okay, don't mind you. This was never about child support. Okay, but But the point being was that I'm your dad. Okay, why are you living with your grandma? I'm the one that should be raising you. So I got it in my head that I was going to go get you. Okay, and I had no intentions of taking you back. Right. So
Yeah.
I had no intentions of taking you back to Arizona after I picked you up. So that's, why when we got there, I said, we'll take this, that, and, whatever, and we'll, I'm in my head, I'll figure this out. I'll figure this out later. And the reason why I took you across state lines.
Yeah.
Okay. Although Ohio had, had granted custody, you were in Arizona, so you're a ward of Arizona at that point. So, they could have picked up the phone, your mom, your grandma, and whatnot.
Like just said that you had kidnapped me.
And said that I had kidnapped you. So, since I got here, got you here and whatnot, I went and, when we went to Lima, we dropped you off at your, at my mom and dad's, your grandma's, and I went somewhere. I went to go see a lawyer. And that's when, that's when that ball got rolling. And then I came back and told you, well, you're staying here and I'm not taking you back and we're going to enroll you in school. So that's what we did. So at that point, we filed my attorney filed temporary custody, emergency custody, and the circumstances was that you were not living with your mom. So that from that point on, she got served papers and everything else and didn't show up. So that was easy. So that was the easy part. And I knew that wasn't. Everybody involved knew that this is what needed to happen. So. And I know that for the longest time, her side of the family was upset with me, but, I think we're on much better terms now. So,
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Yeah.
The way that I like to explain myself at that time in my life was that I was not the easiest child I can imagine. Because of all the stuff that had happened, like when I was living back in Arizona and some other stuff, like I was just kind of angsty and I was like upset at the world. And what was kind of the most difficult thing about then? Because we were all together for my first 3 years, and then there's that gap of time, and then here I am, 12, 13, right? I think.
You were 11, 12 years old, yeah.
Something in that range. What was the most difficult thing, not only of kind of picking up fatherhood from that point, and then me specifically? Like, what would you say that was the most difficult part about that process?
Well, look, there's the angst, okay, and then it was just breaking you of habits that you got accustomed to, and that things that you should have not gotten away with, or breaking of those bad habits. That was the difficult thing. Okay, at the same time, it was hard because. I tried to overcompensate when you first got here and everything else, and that was, and so that was the most difficult thing, was just trying to break you those habits but but the easiest thing I think was getting you to appreciate what I did. I think that was a little bit easier than anything, because I didn't talk bad about your mom. I didn't talk bad about anybody else or anything else. I just went ahead, and got you, integrated with my side of the family, and that's what made it easy, because you had my mom and dad there, and my brothers and everything else that were there for you, and they were there for you, and they helped me get through this. Okay, as a father, because I got especially your Uncle Kevin, and I've Yes, he was the one that I was closest to. Mm-hmm. Because
you were the middle kids together.
Yeah, we're the middle kids, and like I said, us both being in the military and being out in the West, on the West Coast, Western United States together at a certain time. So I was you saw the post about what Amber I posted about being Uncle Number One, so I tend to pattern myself after how he raised her, so because he was a single parent for a while too. So,
what do you think, if anything, you would have done differently as far as raising me?
If I'd done differently, I probably would have. If I would have been able to, I probably would have tried to got you sooner than I did. Mistakes were made when, the only thing I will say about the England, before you went back is that if I would have been able to keep you there, I would have. And I think that was the big thing. Because I did the best I could, with that big gap there, so.
I think, and I also think, to kind of go back to it, I think part of the angst too was that gap, and then I think part of fixing it was understanding like why it was there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because so I think you did a good job. So in that spirit, I want to then ask you, what are like one or two things that you think you just nailed? Like you were just like, yeah, I did that.
Your sense of responsibility, and I think your sense of humor. I think I think we share that similarly. So
yeah, I think so too. I think there's a lot of things that we share a little bit. I think it's actually really funny because I was going to ask this after this next question, but this seems like a good enough time as I need to talk about it. Because I remember very distinctly when I was learning how to drive, and there was a time when because we were driving around, I think it was the Fairfield Mall. We were in Beaver Creek, right? And there's that big 4-way intersection as you're leaving. And I think like I vaguely remember like turning, and I don't know what happened, but like we got into like a fight about like how I was turning and what I was doing.
I'll tell you this one. So where we were, we had finished driving at the AFMC lot on base right outside of gate, so that's where we were practicing. So we got you on to 844 to get to, we got you on the 675 somehow, and then we got off the exit, and I had you get off, went down Fairfield, went around near the mall, and then you went down, I think it was Grange Hall Road, and did that right. So once we got up to, where the Hardee's is on Colonel Glenn, okay, you took a left, you ran a red light is what happened.
Oh.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
Yes, and I took the wheel, and a car was coming, so I yelled, I took the wheel, and if I had not taken it, you would have hit that car.
Yeah.
Okay. Or the car would have hit you. That was coming. So you got upset with me, and I had you pull over. Okay.
Yeah. We switched spots.
Yeah, we switched spots, and I said, you're not going to be driving for a while because you don't want to listen to me. So I don't want to drive anymore. So you didn't drive. So you never went back, and I said, kept saying, you want to go for a drive? No, I don't want to. At that point, you didn't want to drive. So that's how that happened. But yeah, I remember that just like that was yesterday.
So
And that's the one thing I admire, because after all that was said and done, you finally got the courage and decided to go and get your license on your own.
Yeah. And that's why I bring up the story, because we were talking about like all the things that like, because we're very similar in a lot of ways. And I learned how to drive with a couple different people, and I learned how to drive separately on my own. And I got my license and my car and everything like that. And I still wound up driving exactly like you do.
Explain
After
that.
all that. I think that now, and I can look at it now, I think that like as I learned how to drive, we're both what I would call confident drivers. And so on account of us being confident drivers, we drive maybe a little bit faster. And we kind of like swoop a little bit. We it's kind of like a pole position thing a little bit.
Oh, right, okay.
but having been driving for as long as I have now, and then whenever I'm in the car with you, as a passenger, now that I'm actually paying attention to like the things of the road instead of just being a kid in the passenger seat or in the back seat, I notice that you do similar things to me. Or I do similar things to you, and like I think we just drive the same. And it might have just been years of me like driving in the car with you and picking that stuff up, but we drive very similarly, even though I got my license separately. So
just like that. And I think I picked up habits from my dad too. So that's
just passing it down. I'm sure if I ever have kids, they'll drive exactly like me. So. What is like one or two of your favorite memories of the two of us?
Well, the favorite memories were always those Fridays. Okay, those weekends I had you, so it was just me and you. So those were my favorite memories, and I'll always cherish those. And the other things too was when we would. I said we did the white tanks. Then when we were over in England on our own for before Tammy came, before we got married and Tammy came, we went. Was it Notting Hill Castle? We
went to Warwick Castle and
Warwick Castle and So and just traveling and going to do the weekend trips that we did. When we were over in England. Those are my favorite memories.
Let's say now it's, whatever, I'm 28 now, 5 years in the future. And I am becoming a father for the first time as a hypothetical. What is like one really important piece of advice you would want to give me in that situation?
You mean as far as when you're becoming a father?
Yeah, becoming a father, just like after becoming a father after the child is born, just like what's one thing that you would want to make sure that I knew or did or anything like that.
Just to make sure that you're financially set and always take time for yourself. Okay, you gotta take a breather. And, when you feel like things are getting, starting to get out of hand or starting to get to the point where you can't handle it, just stop, breathe, and think things through. Before you do anything else, before you fly off the handle, just think things through. And you won't go wrong.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.